Alright guys, I wanted to show you really quick the top 5 greens that I grow in my garden every single year. I live in Miami, so that is zone 10B. And these are the greens that no matter what, I'm going to grow every single year at the beginning of our growing season, which is usually September-ish. The first thing that I plant every single year, I'm going to be eating some too. Arugula, just because I really love arugula. It's really spicy. I love the taste of it. And the hotter the temperature gets, the spicier the arugula. But I tried growing wild rocket, which is wild arugula essentially. And the leaves are really small, but they were so extremely potent that even though I did enjoy them, it was kind of like I couldn't put too many in the salad or people would complain. And I personally really like it, but also eating an arugula heavy salad from that variety was just like a little bit too much for me. Another one that I really love is kale, as you can imagine. Now, what's really great about kale is that you can try a lot of different varieties of kale. So many different kinds. This is a curly kale that I'm growing. This is a very young leaf, but obviously you know kale is very nutritious for you, but I really enjoy the taste of it a lot. I like the texture a lot. I tend to grow this curly variety because I love the texture of it for salads, but also to cook it down. I have another little one here. I don't want to pick it, it's a little too young. It's kind of very similar, but it has a purple stem. I've grown red Russian kale before. That's kind of a staple in the garden as well. Although I find that the red Russian kale is better cooked. It has a really good flavor when cooked, and it's fine raw, but I kind of prefer it cooked. Whereas the curly one, I can eat it either way, and it's equally as good. This year I'm growing a new variety. I have a little bit. These leaves are kind of big actually, but I'm gonna try to still eat it. This variety is called KX1, and it's just a hybrid. I found it in a local nursery when I went to go pick up some plant starts. It's really beautiful. It's like green purple, although I think the cooler the weather gets, the more purple it will become. And the sides are really roughly. It's just a beautiful green to have in the garden, very ornamental. I haven't actually tried this yet. It has a really I wonder if because of the color variant on it, if that alters the flavor, because I feel like I could almost taste it like, I don't know, maybe some people would consider it like a bitterness. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. I think it's really nice. It's really tender. I could totally eat this in a salad, no problem. It is really good. Although I probably will end up cooking it. And the stem is, when you pick them young, it's not that bad at all. Oh, it's really good. I'll finish this later. So, kale. There's a million different varieties, extremely beneficial for you and really delicious. Now, another one that I grow every year is Georgia collards. Well, collards in general. This is a smaller variety I'm growing this year. Last year I grew Georgia collards. These really big leaves that were so huge. But these, this variety that I picked up, I don't remember what it's called, but it has smaller leaves, and I only picked it to take up less space in my garden bed, because the one negative thing about having the really broad leaves, even though it's great for making like wraps and using it as a wrap, is that it would kind of shade out some of my other plants. Now, collards I really like. If you pick them young, you can eat them raw, no problem. I don't have an issue with the texture or the flavor at all. I think it's really good, really delicious. I use them for veggie wraps. Some people will blanch the greens first, and then you remove the middle stem, and you put veggies and a little sauce, and then you can just kind of roll it up and eat it like that. I love them. Obviously in the South, a lot of people cook them with some bacon, you know, in a pan. But I don't mind them at all. I think they're really great. They do have like a little bit of a bitterness, I guess, kind of to them, so that's probably why a lot of people like to cook them. And the bigger the leaf, the thicker, you know, kind of, the more leathery. So collards, every single year grow that, and it grows so well here that I can just forget about it and it'll keep growing into the summer. I'll go through the summer. It's great. Another one that I grow every single year is Mizuna. Now I think this is called Japanese mustard greens, is another name for them. I grow a purple variety and a white variety. This is the purple variety, although this piece doesn't look very purple. See? Purple stem, and then I also grow white. This is so good. This is so good. And the best part about this green is that you can eat it raw. You can cook them. You can put them in soups. I think a lot of Asian recipes call for it to be put like in soups. But I really love the taste of them. Online, people were saying that, oh, you know, it has like a peppery taste. It's in the mustard family, I believe. And you can taste it, yes, slightly. If I really sit down and I think about it, okay, there is that mustard background flavor to it, which is delicious, but it's not at all, it's not even as spicy as like an arugula. So to me, I can put this raw in salads, especially when you have a dressing, and you could even do like a honey mustard type of vinaigrette on it to really offset that bitterness, and it's so delicious. So to me, I grow this almost like a lettuce. Most of the time I'm eating it raw, but definitely holds up in cooking and in soups and stews. Really good. Okay, the last green that I grow every year, actually throughout the year, I never stop growing it, is sweet potato greens. Now a lot of people, especially in the South, grow sweet potatoes, obviously, for the tuber, because that's what you want to eat, the root. But I recently found a video this year by Wendy Pham on YouTube. She does a lot of like Asian variety plants, tropical plants, and she posted a recipe where she actually cooks sweet potato greens. That's something apparently she's grown up always eating, with a little bit of miso. So I tried her recipe and it was so good that I decided that forget the sweet potatoes. I mean, although that would be a nice perk, I'm gonna grow them for the greens. So after I harvested all my greens this past year, my son kept a little snippet of these and actually planted it without telling me, which was great. And now I have sweet potato greens that I periodically cut back and eat, and it'll just keep producing. Now the plus side of this as well is that the more I'm eating the greens, the more the plant is focusing its energy on the roots. So I'm sure at some point I would have a sweet potato harvest, and I could harvest those sweet potatoes if I wanted to, although I'm really just interested in the greens here. This one you can't really eat raw. I've heard of some people eating the really tender young bits raw. However, it's not good to really eat raw. This one you should really cook. The way I cooked it was just sauteing it in a pan with some oil, letting it kind of wilt down a little bit, and you're gonna want to harvest not just the leaf itself, but the stem. This is a very young leaf, but you have a stem that then meets the main thick stem. Obviously the thicker stems you don't want to cook because it gets a little bit too tough. But the new shoots, I would saute them till the stem gets a little tender, and then just last minute I would just get a little bit of miso paste with some water to kind of thin it out into a little sauce, pour it over, toss it, and just eat it like that. It's so good, and also great because sweet potato greens have vitamin K, which is really super great for your body and not the easiest thing to find. Okay, now really one of the last greens that I grow every year it's really not a popular one, is dandelion greens. Now, dandelion, of course, has a lot of medicinal qualities and benefits, and it has a lot of vitamins in it, that they actually have a lot of minerals in it. So it actually has iron and copper and magnesium, which is great. Super good for you. The problem with them, of course, is they're very bitter. If you notice, the more medicinal something is, it tends to be very bitter. That's how it lets you know that the medicine's in there. So this I would not make a whole salad from. I would just kind of add a couple bits of it to every salad that I make, just to get the health benefits. It is extremely bitter. I even like bitter foods, and this to me is still super bitter. Just to eat it kind of like this, you'll get used to it, but definitely in the stem, when you crunch the stem, you get that shot bitterness. I also grow it for the roots, so I let them grow. They'll grow a huge long tap root in the garden, and you can then at a later point harvest the root if you'd like, and make tinctures from that and make medicine from that. So I tend to grow multiple plants of it, some to harvest the root and some just to keep for the leaves. They can be a little troublesome to get rid of, so if it's something that might annoy you, or if you're really never going to use it or eat it, then just don't even waste your time trying to grow it. That variety that I had there in my hand, let me see if I can show you, is a red stemmed variety. I tend to always gravitate towards anything that's like red or purple, because they have more antioxidants in it, and obviously then it's just a showstopper. It just looks so pretty. But there you go. Those are my top greens that I grow every single year. Of course, I also grow lettuces, but that's not a big deal for me. I usually just buy a mixed seed packet and just kind of toss it into the garden and kind of eat salads from there. I'm not too particular when it comes to lettuce. Let me see. That's pretty much it. I mean, this year I'm growing French sorrel, which has a lemony taste, a really good lemon flavor. But I don't grow this every single year. This year I just decided to do it. But really experiment with your greens. You know, there's so many varieties out there, and especially down here in South Florida, you can grow a lot of really good tropical, heat-loving Asian greens that are so good and really different textures, different flavors. I'm pretty sure this is lemony because it has oxalic acid in it. Oh, that's sour. Wow, that is really sour. That's more sour than I thought, actually. But just adding a couple of these leaves into the salad mix too really brightens it up. It's just so delicious. So there you go. Those are some of the top greens that I grow every single year. If you have any questions about the types of varieties of things I grow in my garden, leave them in the comments below. Let me know. Otherwise, see you the next one.